Okay. Um, it's another session, and as usual, I'm not. I don't sleep for that long. Back in Sierra Leone, I thought it was a problem, but now I see it as very normal. So I'm all awake. It's it's 25 minutes to 3 o'clock a.m. in the morning, so you might think that's so early, and I'm all awake, finding it a bit hard to go to sleep, and so definitely I just decided to do a short live discussion, basically just explaining my experience in the US after 3 months. What a coincidence. So basically, I'm up reading this The Lion Awakes, which is a very awesome. It's very awesome. It's an awesome book that I definitely recommend most professionals, African professionals, to read. It's a must-have. So basically, being in the US has basically opened up few things for me that I personally want to share my experience with. I have to be a bit like careful language wise because I don't want to sound too American for my African people, and I don't want to sound like too African for some of my friends that I've made here. So I'll have to be in between. It's been like some tough time. It's really been some tough time for me. Career wise, professionally, being myself, like trying to go out of my shell, and just being like a holistic person, being involved in several activity all at the same time. Weather has been really, really challenging for me because initially when I came, I was like, it's just the US. Like coming here for the first time, this is my first time being in the US, even though like I've traveled to some countries before, but it was totally like, it was normal for me because I never had much expectations. Honestly, I advise you now, if you have like any plans on coming to the US, beat down your imagination, have no expectations, because if you have like a high expectation, hell, the US is a superpower, I'm going to the US, oh no, this is a great country, trust me, when you come here you will be so damn surprised. So I made sure like I beat myself down. I was like, no, the US has to be like a normal country. I've been to like some countries, I prefer not to say, sorry, I prefer not to say the countries. I've been to some countries and it's like, you're like surprised. Like, is this, am I in this country? This country, it's all the big brands and all the everything. You're like really, really surprised. So I'm going to be a bit brief. I'm just trying to highlight like 5 ups and 5 downs. Downs in the sense that it's something that I've been still remains a challenge for me, and things that I'll definitely have to cope with. And basically, to start with any one of those 5 things, I think I tried to make my room be a bit African, so I have this thing that says greetings from Sierra Leone with the woman pounding. So that's one way I like remember my mom. I remember all the wonderful women that have done so much for me, that's at least contributed to my success one way or the other. And I also have like, I love Sierra Leone, the kind of scarf that's normally hanging over my study. So I just try to make myself comfortable as much as possible because I know it's really, really tough being away from home. It's a challenge. So basically, the ups. One of the things that I really, really observed was that it's normal not having enough sleep. So funny. Like back home, I would just have like 4, 5. I'm like I'm a nocturnal person, so normally I stay up really, really late. At night, I'm like full of energy. During the morning, I'm like weak. It's no go area. So normally in the morning, I listen to songs, try to like just hatch up the cool energy. It's really, really tough for me, but being in the US makes me like see it as normal. Like it's normal. It's really, really normal for you not to have like 7 hours sleep. That's normal. So that was an upside for me, and things are moving here really, really fast. Now I know why the kind of big difference between a developed country and a developing country. Back home, even the way we kind of work to get to places takes a long time. We kind of drag our feet as if we're going for a wedding. We kind of like greet a lot. Hey, hello, how are you? Imagine moving to a place that takes like 5 minutes, you take like 10, 15 minutes, just greeting, taking your time to do things. The US is different. It's really, really, really high, fast paced environment. Things move so fast. Jobs has to be done really, 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 really fast. And the breakthrough in technology just makes it like cumbersome. Everything is technology based. Like at one time, I wanted to go to the bank. The bank was closed. There was nobody inside. I was like, I stood there checking. I tried to like push the door. The door could not open. And then I was like, no, there's a spot in the door. So I took out my bank card and just slotted it. The door opened. So I was like, in the US, your eyes have to be wide open. You have to expect the unexpected because they like taking people on surprise. So that was a big learning for me that technology in Africa is quite different. This is technology in the 21st century, so your eyes need to be really, really wide open. Here again, with Google Maps, you're like safe. You can move around. You don't even need to ask anyone. You can move around, have your place, have just be yourself. Explore with just Google Maps. So coming here, you have to make sure you really have an idea of what Google Maps are, what Google Map is, because that makes your life so simple. And networking opportunity here is so impressive. Like it's remarkable. There's so great opportunities for networking. They have events wherein you meet your people. People are passionate. They listen to you. Unlike in Africa, wherein when once you have this big dream, you start talking, and then people will be like, "Oh my God, no, forget it, it won't work." No, here, even if they're sure, even if they think it won't work, they're kind of like, "Oh yeah, that's impressive." They kind of like that the flourish, the kind of water your heart. You're like inspired to go after your dreams. But in Africa, they kind of, oh no, that won't work. No, they start putting barriers in front. Here, they give you the courage to know that it's possible, and then maybe when faced with all the challenges later, you kind of like figure it out. And there's no space here for shy guy. No, everyone is bold. Like you're shy, there's no space here for you in the US. And so coming back from home, I'm a kind of like reserved guy. I don't like talking too much. The best moments I spend together are the times I have with myself, but it doesn't work here. No. You need people, you need to learn from people, and as much as you interact with people, that's how you get to learn and improve yourself the more. So That's one thing that the US, 3 months in the US really taught me, to go out of my shell, to be out there for people, like to interact. The more you interact, the more you get to know people. Expressing your feeling is another upside. Like the Americans, like, don't hide behind their fingers. Whatever they express, if they're happy, it's easy to know, and if they're sad, it's definitely easy to know. I think that's safe, because if you keep pretending to people like you're not happy and then you pretend to be happy, I believe that's the major source of problem. That's where most of the problems and issue indifferences stem from. So that's a positive side that I think, whatever you feel, what if you don't like something, you have to communicate it at the initial stage. Let people know that you're not happy, and then, like, stand up for your rights. You have a preference to your rights. There's so many issues, LGBT issues. Like, I'm exposed. I was like, initially hearing of these things, I was like, oh my god. But yes, people stand up for their rights. You have to believe that you go in for what you want in life. And that's really so awesome, and that makes it really easy for you to get along with people, because you don't pretend, you give your right image, so that people definitely understand how they can catch up with you. And the US also has lots of historic and tourist sites. They try as much as possible to preserve, like to improve infrastructures, to create a system. The energy grid is kind of constant. So they have basically a level infrastructure upon which like more development can happen. I believe that's a problem that we're really lacking in Africa. We don't, source of energy is really down, infrastructures are really down, so it's really hard for any innovation to really just create a level playing ground. It's hard. It has to start from like a low level. You start thinking of mobile money, you start thinking of like breakthrough in technologies. They have to, these are some of their first with the challenges of energy and other things. So it's really a big challenge for some of our businesses in Africa to thrive. Other, compared to like in the US here, you have infrastructures, everything is in place. So it's really so easy for you to see like a young innovator coming up with a brand new idea, like the Uber wherein you just move anywhere with easy communication. In Africa, in some parts of Africa where I'm from, especially Sierra Leone, it's a big challenge because most of these infrastructures are not in place. And by the way, I'm up, it's close to 2:45, and it sounds so normal. It appears so normal for me. Basically, for these historic buildings, tourist sites, there are so many activities going on. You come here, you feel life, you really know that indeed there is life in the US. Like, you walk, you achieve so much, but again, you have a different part of your life. You have to, all work and play makes a dull boy. You have to feel free, you have to feel yourself and like experience the other side of life. So the US really makes that possible. And one of my bucket list, like top of my bucket list, is skydiving. Even though I'm still growing the confidence, I'm still growing the courage to go for that. I hope someday I go skydiving and I pray I survive it. So that's been really so, like, the ups for now, and opportunity, like, you have so much conferences going on, you have like professional programs, and in all of these programs you have opportunity to like meet with people. You're like, oh my god, are you the founder of Google? Like, it appears so normal. Back in Africa, it's like a dream. Founder of Google. Oh my god, Google is so big. Like, it's so normal here. You get to meet people in conferences, and when they tell you of the intervention, when they tell you of their ages, you're like, oh my god, I'm just 26 and I haven't even done anything back home. So That's a big challenge. But again, you have to take it as a positive side, and that inspires me. Honestly, it inspires me so much, and I'm so grateful to Atlas Core. Honestly, Atlas Core has been like the winner to the world. It's just like you having all the beautiful dreams, but infrastructure wise, opportunities are not there. Opportunities are so limited, and having to think of Atlas Core, basically, the founder not always stresses that you have talents everywhere, but the opportunity is just not evenly distributed. Like talent is found everywhere, but opportunity is not. So he is trying to create an opportunity to meet most of the talented people out there. So what Atlas Core does is Atlas Core recruits young professionals. They come to the United States, and then they try to like link you with a social issue that you're really passionate about. So for example, I'm passionate about child advocacy and women empowerment. So it's like looking in the world and then looking at the really top NGOs working in that line of area that you're really interested in, and then linking you with the host organization. It's really competitive process, and it's like 5 to 6 processes. I was like, oh my god, can you guys just tell me like I'm not successful, but at the end of the day, I'm so happy working with World Vision, and it's like a really accurate match. Really accurate match. And yes, and definitely like in the US you have the chance to like be freestyle. You have the chance to be freestyle. Back home, I'm like I can't do certain things because they start thinking, hey, Pascal has changed so much. But in the US, I don't care. I don't care. You see, like, I have different socks. It's like, it's my style. I like it. And it's normal here. You do it and you're like good to go. You're like you're like this cool guy. You do whatever you want to do. So you have to be like you have to protect yourself. You have to like warn yourself. You have to know what is good and what is bad for you. And basically the downside, kind of a bit of challenge that I'm still fighting with, is the cost of living here in the US. I can say it's been really a challenge initially when I came and I went out for a meal, like just for a lunch. I had to spend like $6, and by then when I checked back into my currency, I was like, really 40,000 for just this? Oh my god! I was like, oh, how would I survive this? Initially, like when they told me of the stipend that I'll be earning from here, and I calculated back in my currency, I was like, oh my god, that money, you guys say it's like limited stipend, but it's a big, like it's huge sum. I can be able to like save. I started allocating like funds and everything to the amount. But when I came here and really experienced the actual scene, it was like a totally different thing. Buying things and then $6, $7, $8. It's like normal. It's normal. Like you go out to restaurants sometimes, you spend like $12. I'm like, oh my god, back home $12. You're like rich guy for that entire day. So it's something really that I'm really getting over. It's been so tough, and one strategy really that I've used that is really helping me out is I try not to convert the cost of the dollar, like when trying to buy things. I try not to convert back to my leons because it just makes me like paranoid. It just makes me like, oh no, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. So most times what I try to do, I just turn a blind eye and do it. I like explore. I'm in the US. I'm earning dollars. I'm not earning leons. So why should I start thinking of like converting my dollar to leons before I kind of purchase? No, it's kind of a prison life. It doesn't make any sense. So now I kind of spend a lot, and definitely I'm sure that's one of the kind of a shock that I'll experience when going back home, like trying to live with this high standard of living. I'll see everything very normal, and I hope I would have some good cash to to be spending out. But I would say really this back home I'll get like cheaper things at the same rates, which initially I thought was really, really expensive, but now I believe it's like normal. Like going back home, I'll be like shopping, seeing things. Shopping would be like normal thing to me. Like I'll go to any supermarket, shop, shop, shop. Because if I start converting it to dollars, I'll be like, no, it's normal. Here I spend like $60 a week to shop and to do my groceries, and $60 back home, it's like big. It's like I think that's what I used to spend back home for like my monthly shopping, and it's a totally different world, totally different world. And so it's been really much of a learning, not just professionally, but experiencing the culture, like the cultural shift, the diversity. No wonder now I tend to really understand why back home when I used to hear people saying they pay this guy $20,000 a month. I'm like, oh my god, that's huge sum of money. This guy must be really, really rich. But but now I get to really, really understand the true context that the bills, the cost of living, the expenses, the kind of recreational facilities, like swallow all this amount of money in just a second. Another area that I've been trying to like leverage, still working on, is the accent. Really, I had a couple of friends, and when I speak to them, okay, maybe face to face it's a bit better, but better. Sorry, yes. I try to like balance the accent because I try not to sound too African for people because it's hard for them to understand what you're saying. And I try not to be like too American because I know I'm only here for a limited time. I'll have to go back home, and definitely I would not me Creole. I will be speaking Creole back, which is my local language. So I try to be in between, leverage as much as possible. So adjusting to the accent has been really a big challenge for me. It's been like hell for me here. Sometimes you speak and then people are like, "Are you an African? You have a strong accent." I'm like, "Oh my God, just try to express to me that I'm different, but have it telling me like you have a strong accent." I'm like, that's an insult to me. But they don't mean it that way. They're just being too frank. They're just been like expressing their ideas and trying to tell you that you're like, we don't understand you. We don't understand what you're saying. So it's really kind of like wrapping the D kind of with all the jargon. I can't understand. It's it's a completely different world. You have to adjust your accent as much as possible, and some words like that I used to hear back home that we consider an insult. Yes, definitely, Dominic, it's true. That's one of the challenges that Dominic Andrew Boymer. That's one of the challenges basically that I'm living with. Trying to balance like getting the positive sides from America and then still preserving some good cultures back home. I'm a dynamic human being. Like human beings are generally dynamic. You don't have to be static. Like saying I'm an African, I'm coming here. I have to no get the positive sides of things and develop as much as possible. Go back home and then continue living. I don't intend after 1 year I'll be going back home, proud to like start my intervention and then just be of help to my community. So few words that back home that you consider an insult, like fuck, shit, mess, suck. Here it's normal, very very normal here. You're like, what the fuck, what a shit, sup. Like back home, for you to say fuck, it's like an insult. So these are things really. These are kind of downside that has not really gone down well with me, and There are really things that I don't think I'll have to accept or maybe inculcate and then take back home because I just don't think these like get along with my personality. And the food is another challenge. Like I miss my local food so much. I miss my cassava leaf, I miss my potato leaves, and it's it's basically like a new environment and I'm trying to readjust. It's not been easy, but definitely you have to cope. You have to cope, and living with like a very limited stipend means you have to start cooking. Like now I try to cook. The first time I tried to cook rice, I was like, oh my God, thank God my mom is not even here. Thank God my family is not even here to see the kind of rice I cook. They'll be like, oh, Pascal, not even a 3-year-old son in Sierra Leone will cook this kind of rice. Like, I have all the liberty to do what I want to do. If I don't feel like cooking, I just go out and eat whatever I feel like doing. Yeah, it's called positive, flexible adaptability. Being more adaptable to the current situation is no false as others would think. Thank you very much, Dominic. You're like awesome. You're awesome, awesome, awesome. So that has been really, really, really cute for me and free. Here you pay for everything. There is nothing free. People, you go to restaurants, they serve you, you give tip like 10 to 15%. I'm like, oh my God. Back home, it's free. You serve me. I'm like, thank you. Thank you is enough. Enough currency to like take care of all your worries and everything. Here now, you pay for everything. Services are so respected. You pay for every little dime. So you start thinking, you start really appreciating the life and some of the gestures of some of the things people do out for you back home, honestly. So I'm learning so much cultural shock and adapting into the system. You have to trust your hunch here in the US because people don't have time for you. Like you're lost, you ask for help. Most times, like you have 80 to 90% chances that people just say, hey, I'm sorry. Like you ask people, can you please help me? I'm trying to get to this place. They'll be like, sorry, I don't have time. Maybe they'll be even working whilst responding to you, so you'll be like, oh, that's one thing that I really miss about home because back home if you're lost you ask people, hey, I'm trying to get to this place. They'll hold your hand and then take you to the point even if they're not going in that direction. They'll walk you to the point and then say, hey, yeah, you just go straight and then go right. Here most people will be like, hey, sorry, I don't know. So you have to trust in your Google Maps. You have to up your game, and you have to up your game as much as possible. And definitely the tax rates, as Dominic is asking, has been like ridiculous. So ridiculous. Like you earn this much and you start thinking back home, if I earn the same amount of money, I'll be a millionaire. But here it's quenched by taxes and everything. So I'd rather not talk about taxes at this time. I really don't want to talk about taxes. And time difference is also a big pain. Like here you working in a really high position, high profile organization, you have to like relate with people from different organizations, different countries, and Australia has been like a pain in the ass, and it's like 12 hours ahead, and normally like the times that they'll be like in the evening, you'll be like odd time here. So sometimes getting along the time differences, it's so much of a pain, and people have to understand that, and you really have to like also strike the compromise because sometimes you like people want to communicate to you back home, they send messages, it's really urgent and they want you to like respond really fast, but it's just not possible because you might be sleeping at that time that they will be like really up and running. So time difference is a much of a problem, but I think it's something that really it's an essential skill to have because we're now moving in it. This is the 21st century. It's like a global workplace, a global village, and you have to like your time differences shouldn't limit your productivity. No, you should be able to like team up with people from different countries and find a common ground. So I've sort of like learned to use Time and Date, which is a website that helps you to like allocate meetings effectively, because you try to like track the time differences of the other countries and then see like a common point wherein you can both relate. And I think my last issue that I really want to talk about is the issue of mental issues. Back home, I it's an issue really that really hits me hard. Like seeing young guys um, behaving in an abnormal fashion just gets me like it really limits me to some extent. I feel so sad for them. But coming in the US, the amount of people that I see suffering from the mental issues is really, really just unbelievable. You see so many young people either chatting up themselves, like moving around like crazy people, listening to like loud music. I'm like, oh my god, you listen to this loud music and imagine you have like a headset on and the music is so loud from even me that doesn't have the headset on. I'm like, this music is loud, I can hear everything. I just wonder how like you feel putting on the headset on. So it's I see really really wise people are kind of really stressed out here. The way things really move out, you really have to like devise a coping strategy, or else you kind of like it's a pain. It's really, really a pain. Mental health seems to be a big issue in the US. One thing that I can say, 2 out of every 5 or 2 out of every 10, to be realistic, 2 out of every 10 person in the US has some sort of like defect or something of that sort, and it's an issue really that has to be looked into, because it makes me really feel so sad seeing young, passionate, and talented young people just moving around like mad people. They've lost their vision in life. They've lost their aims. They're just moving aimlessly like a roaring lion. Like they're nowhere to be seen. No direction. Nothing of that sort. And it's very easy. It's very easy for you to be in the US and lose your direction. It's very very easy because you tend to be like attracted to so many things. So you really have to have a second nature. You really have to be like fixed on your goal to ensure that you know why you're in the US, and then you just attain that to the core. The level of inequality is also high. Like the gap between the rich and the poor is really 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 wide. Back home, I can say there's slight difference. You can hardly realize. Yeah, you can tell, but you can like. There's not much like poor people can even afford like 3 square meals, but here there's a big difference, big level of inequality. So I hope it's only 3 months. Sorry, it's only 3 months in the US, and I've learned so much. I've really, really learned so much, and the experience is really worth it. Really, really worth it. And one thing that I start thinking of is what's next? What's next? And grad school, going back home, starting my organization, so many plans, and definitely my fashion, freestyle, do it yourself. Just being creative, going out of my shell, enjoying life, and by the way, I'm still single. I'm still single, no fuss. Yeah, I still have time. Yeah, I know it's Africa that you're kind of under this kind of pressure that hey that you're like aged, try and get married. I want to get married, but it's divine. So marriage is divine. That's what I think. So as soon as I find the right choice, Definitely, why not? So that has been my learning so far in the US, and it's really been a lovely 3 months in the US. Learned so much, up my technology game, up my cooking skills. Accent is slowly developing, even though I preserve like few cultural besties of Sierra Leone, and it's been worth it. Thanks so much, Atlas Call. Thank you, Sierra Leone, for believing in me. And thanks to all my friends. And definitely, I will never, never let you down. I'll never let you down. Honestly, I'll make you so proud. And I'll keep aiming for more higher dreams. And it's been so fun. The US is fun. It's a place to be. And you should come very soon. And if you're here, just hit me up. And I love you all so much. Thanks for being with me. It's been worth it. The US, that's 3 months. Goodbye.